Thank you for joining us today, Regis.
Thank you.
It's an honor having it. And like I was announcing, there's a lot of innovative and disruptive things that you guys are doing at Staples, and we'd love to really get your perspective on some of these emerging topics that are happening in the future of work. And to start off with, really, the key trend that I keep hearing from employees is this importance of having purpose at work. However, when we talk about purpose at work, it might be tough accommodating or creating a culture of purpose at work when each individual employees have their own beliefs and values, right? So
I look at Akash, he's look at me with a smile like, you guys, you're selling office supplies, where is the purpose at work, And I think, Akash, a lot of us, we have been confusing company purpose and purpose at work. And that's really what we heard from 6 speakers. And purpose at work, at the end of the day, whoever we are, a lot of startups here, or very large companies like Staples, when you think about it, what do you mean by purpose at work? And again, I'm going to repeat what I heard from the 6 speakers. It's about what is the job we are offering in terms of excitement. And are you learning every day? I think if you offer a job where you are learning every day, I have 1 point. If you add to that not only you're transparent about the role, so you understand what you're doing, you understand what others are doing, and you understand the link to the value you're going to create to a company, whoever you are, startup, big company, small companies, you're going to be able to attract people. And then, I think we heard that from others. So great job where you learn, job where you understand the added value, in a work environment like this one, or like work bar, where you can work anywhere, anytime. And then an environment where it's collaborative. I think, I'm certainly like the oldest guy in these rooms. That's, I think, what he invited me at the end. You always need a veteran. But yeah, companies where you're not collaborating, you don't want to work there. So when you take these all elements, you can have a purpose at work, I think, whoever you are. So that will be my answer. So whoever you are, you can have people with a purpose at work and super successful.
So how about technology? Let's talk a little bit about technology. I mean, we're hearing in the marketplace the term that used to be HR technology, which were technologies that focused on managing HR processes, to now what they're terming a new term, workforce technologies, where these digital tools are being provided in organizations to, essentially make employees' work life better.
Yep.
How does an organization really think about or prioritize some of these technologies?
Well, again, I think we heard that from some of the speakers. Our first speakers, when she was talking about recruitment. So clearly there, the tools are becoming more customized, more personalized. I like what Camille said about the no news fact. So that's not a new fact, clearly. We know technology is helping us to customize, to give a personalized solution to our employees more and more, candidates or employees. So that's not new, but if I may, and I think a lot of you are involved in technology, think about, there's a lot of plus there. There's a lot, it's cool. Great, now I have a personalized solution. It's like when I do shopping online, they know what I want, they give me what I want. Are you sometimes annoyed by how much people knows about you when you're online? So think about it now in the company. With all this technology, which we're all using and we're going to use much more, we're having more and more data. Private and public data. So I think what you're going to see, what is going to be very interesting in the next few years, and the winners are going to be the companies, again, going back to purpose and working for the right company with Glassdoor at 4.3. I want to work for the company at 4.3, where it's very cool, where there's technology, where they care about me, that's what we heard, but they respect me too. How much of the data they have on me, I want them to use. So we're going to see some evolution there. And I think the second evolution, I'm not sure that was a question, but anyway, I'm going to continue. I think the second evolution on technology that you need to think, all of you, about is that the data, there's a migration happening, which the data is migrating to be company-owned data, to be people data. Think about your LinkedIn profile. again, someone said 20 years ago when you were looking for a job, you were buying Boston Globe and you were trying to find a job. That's what I was doing in my country, in France. Not Boston Globe, because I couldn't read English. But you think about it, today, LinkedIn, you all own your LinkedIn profile. And it's portable. All the companies who are using it, we are potentially integrating into our systems. Think about the future. More and more of this information is going to be like that. Think about a lot of you work in company where there's a performance management system, I'm assuming, where you have a development plan, an individual development plan. We heard every 2-3 years now people are changing job. Some of you, I'm sure, are working for 2 companies, or you are freelance and working for a company, or you're freelance working for 2 clients. Think about now not only your biography being your own, but all the data about your competency skills, your talent development, your action, being your own and starting to move from place to place, but you control it. And I think that's one of the things we're going to see in the future.
So I love what you're talking about, this whole notion and concept of employees owning their own data, being able to port it over time to any other organization that they move forward. But I can't help but understand, does that mean that organizations will need to rethink how they're designing careers? Because careers today have fundamentally been designed in ladders and focused on employability, right, and title progression and promotion. In the future, if this is the direction of employees owning their own data, do you see that now careers will be designed more around projects, short-term opportunities to gain the right experiences and skills?
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's automatically a direct link, but I think that's the case already. I'm sure you work for companies where some companies have a lot of money for training, but we all know, you're 10%, I think the statistics show, really 10% of what you learn it on training in a course. Think about it, you all certainly have bachelor degree, master degree, PhD. Think about now how much you use of what you learn in university at work. Not so much. And if the reason you have been promoted, you have been hired, is for something else. It's for the projects, it's for the experience you're bringing. So I think what you're saying, Akash, there, that's not new. But I think one thing which is new, and I didn't hear it from our speakers tonight, is that not only it's projects, not only it's this special assignment, but it's going to be outside of your own company. So you see that already. Maybe some of you do it where you have seen, for example, we have a project where we are working on a project where we are asking our managers we want to grow to say, okay, guys and girls, we'd like to offer you the opportunity to mentor. But you're going to mentor a charity organization. You're going to do that outside of Staples. And it's a project. But it's a project where they are exposed, they are giving back, but they're also learning. They're learning of a totally different world, a way people are thinking totally differently. So you see that a lot of companies are starting to say, your development maybe is going outside. Also, I can talk about Staples. 5 years ago, I joined Staples in the US 5 years ago. If you were leaving Staples, it was like a bad divorce. Never come back again. No, don't say I want people to leave. But a great person leaving, they have a good reason. Maybe it's our fault or not our fault, but they are leaving. They go somewhere, they work maybe with you, they learn. I love that. They learn, they're paid by someone else. Come back, be a boomerang. And the concept of boomerang works also. But the last thing is what I think we're going to see with the gig economy, where more and more, maybe some of you have multi-employer, or you're your own employer and you work in multiple companies. I think in a few years' time, we're going to see, let's say, Akash, you work in Staples. Or let's say you're talking about your development, and let's say we want you to grow on strategy side, on merger and acquisition. I say, well, there's no project in the pipeline for the next 18 months. But we know in 18 months, 2 years, we're going to have a lot. How I'm going to develop Akash? I can send him to a conference, yeah. He will have some drinks, that's nice. He will have a nice picture, Instagram, whatever. He's going to learn 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and a 2-day conference will come to cost me thousands of dollars. But what about if, I think he goes just 2-3 blocks from this place, and he goes to a place like Catalan, the early nerds. And he will say, well, have a little bit of time on top of what I do at Staples, and I'm a great strategic guy. I would like to work on a project, ideally not with a competitor, but I would like to work on a project. It will take a few hours or few days of my time, where I'm going to be exposed on merger and acquisition. He's going to be paid for that. He's going to learn. And by the way, in 18 months, I have someone more ready when I need merger and acquisition. So what I think I said there is not happening yet because it's like starting to share resource. But I bet 5 years from now, you're going to see that coming.
So if employees are truly getting all these opportunities, right, and being able to navigate different organizations to work for, projects to potentially pursue, what is the company that they currently work for doing in terms of mobility? What is the organization? I mean, there's huge culture clashes around internal headhunting,
yep.
Managers creating a chaos environment where employees aren't able to move and grow into opportunities. How does an organization navigate, improve that?
So Akash, it's the first time I'm coming. Do I have the right to ask questions? Can I ask questions?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
So hopefully I'm not going to embarrass anyone. Who has had a phone call, an email within the last 30 days from a headhunter or from a recruiter? Okay. I didn't say if you answered, but just, okay. Okay. How many of you have been changing job in the past, past 3 years? Quite a lot. How many of you have been changing jobs in your company? Not a lot.
Wow.
I think we start to have the answer. So there is one thing, there's two things we're currently testing at Staples. And again, we're not perfect. We're 60,000 people, so it's very difficult. Like I envy my colleagues on Glassdoor going from 2.8 to 4.3. But when you have already 25,000 people who have been giving you a rating, to change it is a little bit challenging. But back to what you said, there's two things. When you look at statistics, you see that I think 60 or 70% of millennium generation, most of you here, or you're younger, maybe the next generation, you're intending to change up in the next 12, 18 months. You may not do it, but you're intending to do it. So that's caring for me. We're spending all this money to try to attract you. By the way, most of you, when we say, do you like where you are? Do you like the drinks? Do you have all these things? You say yes. When we ask you, and some of you, honestly, excuse my French, it's not bullshit. You really like what you're doing. But it's time to move. There's another statistics, I think it was Mercer or one of the consulting firm, where I think, don't quote me, but I can find the statistics if you want the exact number. I think the number is 73% of millennium generation, where you're asking them, will you stay in the company will you prefer to stay in the company where you are if there is a career opportunity? The answer is yes, 73% of the time. So as a colleague said, people are leaving not because they want to leave. They leave because they don't have the opportunity. So the two things we are looking at, and I really encourage all of you to look at, and it's two things. One, we just started, and the other things, we are going to start it in a few weeks' time. The first thing we have done, and it's still a pilot, and it's very controversial at Staples, is when I ask you who has been called by a recruiter, well, a lot of people. So think about most companies and my HR colleagues. We are HR authorized to try to find you and to go to the market and to try to source you and be very creative to attract you. The recruiters, statistic I saw in US, there are 300,000 people who define themselves as recruiters, whatever they are, internal recruiters or recruitment companies. These 300,000 recruiters, They have the same rights as me. They can try to attract all of you. But they have another right that I don't have in most companies. It's to call my own employees. Because in most companies, you're not going to poach your employees. Again, if you're a small company with 20 people, 30 people, you know everyone. Think about us, 60,000. We don't know everyone. We'll never know everyone. But yesterday, I couldn't authorize my recruiters to call the candidate, to call the employees. Now think about the people who raised their hands that they had a call from a recruiter. Imagine if now instead to have a call from a recruiter, you have the call from your HR department, and not because you're high potential or whatever. We have always these special groups. They may even don't know you, but they found your profile on LinkedIn or whatever tools they're using and say, you know what, there is a job there. Will you consider to look at it? They didn't ask your manager. They call you directly. Now, if you start to be interested, you have a process starting. That's what we call internal headhunting. So we just started that. And we had thousands of people we have been calling. And they were surprised. They were surprised. They say, you know me? Yeah, you work for my company. We had a third of the people we call say, I'm interested. So again, you're like, scaring, meaning that if one of you was calling them, they may also have been interested. So maybe better to be first. But so that's one thing where I think that can, when you're a very large company like us, and we heard that from one of our colleagues, look inside, hire from inside as much as you can. We don't do it. The second thing, and Akash is impatient for me to say the second thing because it's something I'm doing with Akash, so he wants me to talk about it. We are launching with the help of Akash organization with Patheer. By the way, Patheer, Akash, I'm French. I cannot pronounce H. You need to change.
Patheer.
You need to change the name of your company. Okay. But we are launching a product that Akash and his team has been developing, which is really a career development platform. And the concept, we were looking for 2 years to find a company who were offering the concept. And I think, again, we're going to see everyone, all of you are going to do it if you don't do it today, with Patheer, or hopefully, or with another company. But what the concept there is, again, most of us, we have an internal website or a recruitment website, so the jobs are there. They are transparent. You can apply. But large company like us, it's surprising and very frustrating to see that people are not applying for the job which exists in the company. So that's an issue we have. And one of the reasons people are not applying is they don't think it's the right job for them. I'm a software engineer. I could be a senior software engineer. I can be a software manager. Well, why not a marketing product manager? Why not a data scientist in supply chain? So what we're developing is a platform where people it's like I will use the name of another company, a little bit like a Netflix. So you go on it, you set up your profile, I'm good at speaking French, project management, whatever. What job I'm doing, yes. What job I'm interested, so it's like picking the type of movie you're looking for. And the system will start, there's an assessment behind and all this thing. The system is linked to our internal recruitment system, so start to say, by the way, did you think about, based on your assessment, it's your own assessment, there is a job there. By the way, the job, sorry for you, you cannot rent yet this movie. It's going to be published only in 2 months' time, but you can follow it, so when it's ready, when the job is open, we're going to contact you. So, or by the way, the job is not open, and because you have another things is, I really would like I'm dreaming to be a data scientist. That would be a disaster, by the way. So that's maybe what I'm going to put in the system. System is going to show, Regis, you have a lot of work. Okay, what do I have to do? What are the skill set I'm missing? By the way, is there a data scientist I can talk to? Oh yeah, there's a guy doing this job or a lady doing this job, you can contact them. So again, I'm summarizing a little bit what we are looking at, but we really think that that's the type of things And again, if you're a small company, you can potentially do it without a system. But when you start to have hundreds and thousands of employees, having a platform like that where you start to consolidate this data will permit you to really foster internal mobility. So long answer, but I told you, I'm always giving a long answer. Internal headhunting, I really think it's a future. And two, mobility platform where you're helping people to identify jobs that they may one day apply for, and you start to connect them and prepare them for the future.
Okay, great. So this brings us to our final topic, Regis, that we'd like to hear. I'm sure the audience would love to learn. What is, with all these trends that we just talked about, I mean, that was quite a few, right? Career mobility, open talent economy, redesigning careers. What do you say the role of HR is going to look like 5 to 7 years from now?
The most sexy job, the job to go to. So if you're not yet in HR, start to apply. Because it will be like our colleagues, there will be 30 jobs, 3,000 applicants. But seriously, but it's true, by the way. Well, our jobs, and it's not new what I'm going to say there. Clearly, and we heard that again and again from the previous speakers, our role is much more customer focused than before. So it's if you think about us, we are behind compared to marketing. So marketing, it's all about customer insight, understand the customers, so that's where HR is moving to. Some company like Cisco, they've done a great job there to really understand the employee life cycle. And you don't talk about the company life cycle, you talk about the employee life cycle. So I think that's one thing where I see a big thing. Clearly, embed technology. Certainly easy to say, not always easy to take risk, especially when you're a large company. But I think large companies, you see it more and more also. We are ready to do much more pilot, to do much more tests than before on the technology. So that has huge impact on us, of course. Data. So I was talking about data analytics. We're hiring some of the young graduates we're hiring. They're much more, again, we have nothing against anyone. But I've never hired so many people with a finance degree, data analytics degree, statisticians. Again, I don't want them to be just statisticians, but I need this skill set more and more. The other things for us HR, I think we need to remember the H in HR, so there will be a human, a lot of humans there. Because as I said early on, be careful with the data. We love data, I think all of you in the room, but what's the limitation of the data? You don't want to transform your company in a big brother organization. So it could happen. So how HR, we are going to have to understand technology, to continue to understand the legal side of it, and be this person, this group in the middle who is going to help to monitor a little bit. Of a monitor, I don't like the word, but ensure that we're not going too far. And the last thing, which I don't have the answer, so be happy to get the answer from or some advice from any of you at the end. There's one thing I worry for HR, but also for what you're doing, and again on data, and that's why maybe I close, is you all have this thing. Yep. So for the one having Apple, I'm assuming most of you have your Apple News that you have configured, and you get the data and the news that you wish. By the way, you get only the news you wish, meaning there is certainly half of what is happening in the world that you have no clue about. Now, for people like me, very old, where we didn't have an iPhone and we were reading the newspaper, I was maybe reading only 3-4 pages of the newspaper I was interested by. But there was the other pages that somewhere, physically they were there. So sometimes you were discovering something which potentially you were not initially interested by, but you were finding out about. And that was, I think it's like liberal art. When you study liberal art, you're very open on the world. You go to a lot of HR conferences where we talk about the Renaissance man or Renaissance woman. And data can potentially limit people because you're going to have so much data, it's going to be so specific that potentially you're going to have your employees in silos in terms of data, and the innovation is at risk. So my feeling is that HR will have a big role to play to play on innovation. It's about mindset, but it's going to be an ongoing fight or debate with our colleague from the digital department, technology department, to say we need to keep this innovation. We need to find ways that people have access, or we force them to have access to things that maybe they don't need, but will help them to think differently. So that's, I think, what the job of HR is about.
All right, so we will take 5 minutes for questions from the audience.